Tisaranena saha Panchasilang dhammang yajami Anuggaham katva Silang deta me bhante Anukampang upadaya. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Sarana-gamanang paripunnang Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinnādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kāmesu micchācārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapamādāṭṭhāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Tisaranena saddhing panchasilang dhammang sadhukang surakkitang katva appamadena sampadeta. Very well. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be successful in everything you do. Very well. So that's good. So we are doing pretty well with time. And so now let's look at our notes. All right. So let's look at our notes. You have now chapter 14, right? So, Caitlin, have you read chapter 14? Can you read for us your notes? Okay. Okay. So, Florence, did you read chapter 14? Oh, but did you read some of the previous chapters? You read chapter 13, and did you read your notes for us from chapter 13 during our previous class? Okay. And what about Paris? Paris, if you have read chapter 14, please read for us your note. Perfect, thank you very much. Almal? Okay, can you read for us something more? Any other note? Yes, thank you very much. So, Caitlin, have you found your notes? That's exactly the same as Paris read for us, right? Paris, do you agree? Yes. So, Caitlin, do you have any other note? Okay, thank you. So I'll read for you my notes. So, oh, you didn't read the page number, right? So, Paris, can you tell us the page number of your note? Paris, do you have it noted there inside your note? 107? 107? 227, thank you. Amal, what's the page of your note? 237, okay. And Caitlin, what's the page number of your second note? 168, okay. So I will be reading from my correct version, and my correct version has different page numbers. So yes, my pages are a little bit, I think they're delayed because I think the converter that made it into a PDF made the font and the text slightly more concise. So I have on page 181, I've noted page 181. Adult male brains are on average 6 to 10% larger than female brains. And then something, and then continues, the differences between male and female brains can be even more exaggerated in childhood, when boys and girls of the same age can have as much as a 50% difference in brain volume during the steep part of the growth curve. And then in page 182 of my version, the differences in male and female brains are present in early fetal life, as hormones already have altered the destiny of brain regions that are set up to go either way in the embryo. Okay, and then again in page 182, the size of the corpus callosum, the strip of neural tissue that links the left and right hemispheres of the brain, appears to be linked to verbal ability on IQ tests in women, but not in men. And in brackets I have noted, and in adolescence, a girl's corpus callosum is about 25% larger than a boy's. So I think you have learned quite a lot from this amazing chapter. It's one of my most favorite chapters indeed. Then comes chapter 15, which is big. Well, not so big. It's just about 10 pages, but there's a lot of important information, which will possibly discourage you from doing some sports. But that's not the meaning. The chapter 15 that's coming wants to show you that you need to be careful. If you have concussion, if you hit your head hard, then you just need to get out of the playground. You need to get out of the whatever ground you call it, so that your head can get right and next time you can play again. If you hit your head several times again and again and again, well then that may have fatal consequences, and we don't want that. So that's the main meaning here. I cannot say that I never hit my head. I remember when did I do that, but I definitely remember that there were times when I hit my head and I'm pretty good. So some people can get away with it pretty well, but again, they should not repeat it. So you need to avoid hitting your head. All right, any questions, anything you'd like to say regarding chapter 14 or anything else? No, nothing. Okay, so with the New Yorkers, we have started Four Noble Truths. So I have here some basics of Four Noble Truths that I would like to share with you. It's a basic knowledge. You definitely need to know it. Does any one of you know what is the first Noble Truth? Yes, Almao? That's right. And does anyone know what's the second Noble Truth? So, the two Noble Truths. A very nice explanation of the Four Noble Truths is given by the Buddha in the Satipatthana Sutta. If you ever want to memorize some of the Buddha's teachings, Satipatthana Sutta is very long, but it provides you with quite a good overview of what is and what is not. So, let me share with you Mahasatipatthana Sutta. So in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the Buddha provides a nice overview of how to meditate. So I'm sharing with you the link over here in the chat box. And let's look at the last portion. So at the last portion, you will have the chapter on the truths. So if you go to 4.5, you will get the truths. And here the Buddha explains the Four Noble Truths. So a mendicant meditates by observing an aspect of principles with respect to the Four Noble Truths. So this is something you can do in your daily life. You can consider, oh, this is suffering. Oh, this is the cause of suffering. So the Buddha here explains what is suffering in detail. And then the Buddha explains the second noble truth, what's the origin in detail. And then the cessation, the third noble truth, and finally the path, which is the fourth noble truth. So these are very insightful, very powerful, concise summaries of the Four Noble Truths. Of course, the Four Noble Truths are much more complicated, but this is a pretty good account. So you may like to read that in your spare time if there is any such time. For today, I will give you 2 notes to write down. I would like to see that everybody of you writes down these 2 notes. The New Yorkers, they have already passed all of this. So now it remains for you to get through. So these Four Noble Truths are the absolute basis. So think of the Buddha as a doctor. A doctor comes and first he needs to find out what's the problem. So the doctor finds out there is a problem, illness. So that's like the first noble truth, suffering. Then what does the doctor do? The doctor will search for the cause. So that is the second noble truth, the cause of suffering. Then what will the doctor do? The doctor will assess whether it's possible to remove the disease or not. And in this case, we are lucky and we say it is possible. So that's the truth of cessation, the truth that indeed we can remove the suffering. And finally, when the doctor has found out that it is possible to get rid of the illness, what does the doctor do? He will prescribe you a medicine. And that's the path, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Noble Path. So, first the doctor comes and sees there's illness, that's the truth of suffering. Then the doctor searches for the condition, the cause of suffering. Then the doctor assesses whether it is possible to remove this illness or not. And in our case, we are lucky and we say it is. So that's the cessation of suffering. And finally, the doctor provides a cure, a medicine, and in our case, that's the Eightfold Noble Path. We may talk about Eightfold Noble Path later, but now you have got pretty nice overview of what are the Four Noble Truths, so that you can remember them for later. So Florence, can you tell me what are the Four Noble Truths? Sorry? What's the second noble truth? No. That's just explanation of the first noble truth. Florence, did you listen to me as I was talking about the doctor? Yes. So can you tell me what does the doctor first do when he sees a patient? The origin, That's right. So you've already told us the two noble truths. So you said he will find the suffering, he will find the origin, that's the cause. And then what will the doctor do next? That you have jumped too far. What will the doctor do before he gives you prescription? Paris, will you help Florence? Paris, you're still muted. Paris, can you unmute? I think you can unmute, right? I don't have the rights. Mamenji, can you please give me co-host rights? Okay. So Paris, what will the doctor do before he gives you a prescription? Paris, if you know, tell us. If you don't, tell us I don't know. Okay, that's good. Caitlin, any idea what will the doctor do before he gives you prescription? Yeah. So what is it that you're not too sure with? You don't know what he does. Okay. So Amal, can you tell us? That's right. So Paris, what would be the other word of saying that? Paris, it seems that it always takes you time to unmute and to answer. If you are faster, we will finish sooner. You don't know. Okay. So let's wait for Florence. So the other word is assessment. 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 So when the doctor finds that there is an illness and finds the origin, the cause, then the doctor needs to assess whether you can get well or not. And only if he thinks that there is a way to get better, then he provides a prescription. If the doctor thinks there is nothing to do, well, then he will not give you any prescription. So the doctor first needs to know that there is something to do, that it is possible to do something. So first, the doctor identifies that there is a problem, then he will search for the cause, then he will assessment whether it is possible for you to cure, and then based on that assessment, he will prescribe the medicine. So those are the Four Noble Truths. Suffering, the origin of suffering, the fact that it is possible to get free from suffering, so-called cessation of suffering, and finally the path, the Eightfold Noble Path. Okay, this may be a little bit difficult in the beginning. As you hear about it again and again and again and again and again, you get used to that. So I would like to ask you everyone to take your notebooks. Does everyone have your notebook? Amo, where do you write your notes? You use a paper notebook? Okay. And Caitlin? You use Google Docs? Okay. And Florence? Google Docs, and Paris. Okay, so I will be pasting here something, and it's a lot, but I wish that you do not copy paste, but at least if you are using Google Docs, that you type it up. Try to type it up. Today is first. Let's start with the date. So today is February 3 for Almao and for Caitlin, but it's February 4 for Paris and Florence. And so you can write down that note. And then here it is, the two things. So first, there is suffering in this world. So what does that mean? There are various kinds of suffering in the world. Most importantly, there is birth, old age, illness, death, not getting what we want, being bound to what we don't want, and the 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates are what? Body, feelings, perceptions, intentions, and consciousness. So that's the suffering. So now second noble truth. Today we go just the first 2. The remaining 2 are coming next week. Suffering is caused by craving. That's the second noble truth. There's craving for visible objects, for audible, olfactory, gustatory, tactile, and mental. Paris, do you know what is olfactory? And Florence? You don't know? Okay, Almao? That's right, it is smelling. Olfactory means smelling. So Caitlin, will you tell us what is gustatory? Have you ever heard the Spanish song "Me Gustas Tú"? Yeah, and what does it mean? You don't know what that means? Oh no, you need to know a little Spanish if you're in the US. And "Me Gustas Mu." Next year. Okay, well, you need to know already now. Me gustas tú means I like you. And here gustation means actually taste. So I like you, of course, doesn't mean that I like you like you're tasty for me to eat, but you can remember it according to that. So gustatory is the scientific name for taste on the tongue. All right, and then tactile. So, Paris, will you tell us what is tactile? And can you think? So we have their 6 senses, right? So we have their visible, the seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and thinking. So what could be the 5th one? So, Caitlin? That's right, that's touch. So visible means seen, audible means heard, olfactory means smelled, gustatory means tasted, tactile means touched, contacted by the body, and mental means thought. All right, so Mamaji, are you here with us? Okay, so I will move on to prepare for some other classes, and I will ask the students to kindly continue in their copying. And when you finish copying, that's it for today. Next week we will meet at this time. I mean, at our regular time for this class. No change at all. That's it. So it was a pleasure to see you all. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be successful in everything you do. Never. Nice. Thank you, everyone.